Hello again, it's Ben. These are the Tandberg 15s that I love so much. These are my tape machine of choice for the particular sort of music I make. They're a workhorse, and I do have different models of tape machines all over the place in the attic and in here and next door that I use for specific purposes. But for my general workhorse Tandberg 15 I find a very good fit. Why do I like these then? Number one, there's a lot of them. I didn't think it'd be worth getting used to using an expensive machine that I can't fix and can't be replaced, only to find it break and then I have to learn a different machine. The kind of work I do means that I have to be quick, otherwise it'll take forever. I'm doing a lot of quite surgical tape work, so I want to be comfortable on a machine that I can easily replace if it goes wrong, and these are really common on eBay. The second thing is price. They're about sort of 20 to £80 a piece, depending on the condition, sometimes even less, sometimes more, and that means that I'm not too attached to them. I don't mind modifying them to do different things. I feel confident in messing about to try and fix them, and I have done successfully despite not having any real electrical knowledge. They're easy to work on as well, even for a complete novice like me. I've found I've been able to get them working through common sense, really, just looking at the things inside. Sometimes the faults are electrical, which can be a bit more involved, but a lot of the time it's simple mechanical things, and they're so logically laid out and easy to understand by looking at them that most people can fix the smaller problems that crop up when you're using them. They're also just really nice aesthetically, and I think that's important. I am looking at them all day, so they've got to be nice to look at. I like the fact that they're square, they are just the right size, they're not too big. So like the ferrograph machines are excellent, but they're huge. The ones upstairs, they wouldn't give me a great deal of working space, and I'd have to be leaning over quite far to get to the playheads. Whereas these are quite compact and lightish, they're about 10 kilograms each, so I can stack up as many as I want in a relatively small space and not have to worry too much about climbing all over them. That being said, they're not too small either. If you have a very delicate small machine, it can be more difficult to do the fine detailed work that I do, where you need access to the playheads and a good deal of control over the tape going past it. They are very robustly built and quite reliable. They do have their moments. They are old machines made in the 1960s, so they are vintage and things do go wrong, but they're mechanically quite reliable compared to some of the alternatives. Certainly I've had various other machines of this kind of price range and this kind of size that have been a lot more flimsy and much more prone to just breaking down or just not working very well. They've got a lot of inputs and outputs on the back as well, which gives you a great amount of flexibility. I can just have them all plugged into my patch bay over there, meaning that they're easy to patch in and out of things and therefore easy to use. And they take pretty big reel sizes, so I can get long compositions onto them. Some other machines of this kind of calibre can only take like 5-inch reels. I believe these are 7. They have 3 speeds, so 1 7/8 of an inch, 3 3/4 of an inch a second, and 7.5 inches of tape per second. I tend to use 7.5 inches a second for my standard editing when I'm building tunes out of little snippets, but it's useful to have those other pitches in case I want to change the pitch of a sound. So obviously if you double the speed, you double the pitch, so you can go up an octave, and that's really useful. I like them because of the sort of work I do, I need to be able to find the location of a sound on a tape very easily. One of the good things about these machines is that they just stay turned on. So even if they're not in play mode like that, the playhead is still active and still connected to the amplifier, and that means I can just pull the tape across the head as I need it, like this. So I can find the start of sounds. And of course when I've found the start of a sound, I can mark off that position with a Chinograph pencil and cut the tape there. Now that's very important because I am having to hunt through a lot of tape very quickly to get all the sounds I need and chop them up. So this is invaluable. I don't have to do any modifications to it. I have modified other machines before to do that. It's not particularly difficult, but I like that these just do that straight out of the box. Obviously, I've removed the metal protective casing that covers the playhead and all the capstan, etc., just for ease of access. because I do need to get right up to the playhead to find my bits. Other features I like are the joystick for the transport. So I've got play there, rewind, fast forward if it will, oh, sometimes they're a bit sticky, or free, where I can move the tape without any of the take-up reels or mechanisms being engaged. That's really useful as well when I'm hunting through tape. The basic functions of it are record, playback, and it can also serve as an amplifier if you want to take an external signal into it. And it also has inbuilt speakers. They tend to be the first thing that goes. I think the capacitors in the amplifier tend to go fairly easily because they're so old, but quite a lot of them still do work, and I have managed to fix a couple. So yeah, that's also nice. I can have playback, so I can be looking for one thing on here and then on the other one as well, and match them up and compare sounds. Not essential, but it is just nice to have that option. And it's not actually a bad speaker, it's reasonably good for the size. The other features include a treble and bass control, and it's nice to have the option of a little bit of equalisation in the box. Obviously I can just patch them with the patch bay through an equaliser, but it is nice to just have that option if I just want to add or remove a bit of top or bottom very easily. They're easy to get into as well. I've done a separate video where I take the cover off one of these and open it up to look at the motor. It's just a case of taking a few switches off and then undoing 4 screws, and the front comes off so you can access the things inside. Not very difficult, and it's quick. So if I have to quickly sort something out, like the drive belt snapping or something like that, it's a matter of a few minutes and it'll be fixed. And there's nothing more annoying than something breaking and disrupting your workflow and you're in the middle of an idea, because if you've got 1,000 bits of tape cut out, you're definitely going to mess it up. The rewind is very fast. It doesn't take long at all to get through a full reel. And additionally, there's a nice little level meter on the front, which not all machines have, which gives you an indication of how much signal's coming into the machine when you're recording. Again, that's really useful because it can be quite frustrating if you're guessing how much signal is going into something and it ends up distorted. While that can be good, it's not always a good thing if you're not trying to get that effect. Sorry for the lack of continuity, I've taken my jumper off because I'm boiling. Something very important I forgot to mention, which should really have been top of the list, is that the recording and playback quality is pretty good. I'd give it 6 or 7 out of 10. Lots of these machines are a little bit bad, but these have a pretty wide frequency range. If you use good quality tape, especially new tape, you can get a reasonably good quality recording and playback from this. The transport's very quiet as well, so even when it's running, it's pretty quiet compared to a lot of machines. This one's got a little bit of a rattle going on, but yeah, they're pretty good even if you've got a few running at once. Just a pleasant hum. I really should have prepared and made notes for this because I did forget quite a lot. I should point out these are mono 4-track machines. You can also get them in 2-track. I tend to work in mono when I'm on tape and use the mixer to provide the stereo effect, if you like, because I just can't be bothered faffing around with stereo on tape, to be honest. Because of what I'm doing, it's not really going to bring me much value. You can get the 2-track machine and you get slightly more audio quality out of that because you're using more of the tape to record your signal. With these being 4-track, obviously it's using a sliver of the tape. You can't really multi-track on them despite them being called 4-track machines. It's 2 and then 2, but I love them anyway. My ideal setup would be to replace the recording and playback heads with mono heads, because then I can use the full width of the track to record my signal, and that means I can also easily reverse the tape, which at the moment I have to do on a separate mono full track machine. Most domestic machines are either stereo or they're half track mono, which means you can record on the top half of the track one way, flip the tapes and record on the other side mono as well. That's not backwards like that, it's the top half and then the bottom half, if that makes sense, and that means it's more difficult to do reverse effects. So that is something I'm looking to do in the future. Just take the heads off, replace them with a mono pair of heads. Won't be too difficult, I don't think, but I've just not got around to it, to be honest. I've got a million things to fix, so that is on the list. So that's it really. The main points are very common, so you can replace it and not be too precious about it. Cheap, about 50 quid on average. Lots of inputs and outputs. Good control mechanism, easy to use. The playhead stays active when you're editing, and they look really nice. So that's the main thing, they look great. I hope that's been useful. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll probably go into some of the other tape machines I've got at some other point, but I just wanted to do a quick video on these machines because a few people have asked. Alright, bye bye.